My father thought I was defective. I was I had a birth defect. My left eye was, my muscles there were weak. The eye wouldn't be in symmetry with the other eye. And I had to go through a series of operations before I was even like 5 years old. The first operation, according to my father, was an absolute failure. This was a doctor that was recommended by my mother's family, which I guess when I entered the scene, there was some kind of, they didn't like each other, the Joseph family and the Pearl family. And that's P-E-R-L, not A-A-R-L. And from what I've seen so far in my life, considering my mother, as messed up as she was, I think that she was the better human being than my father was, even though you're dealing with a damaged war veteran. This guy was in combat, probably one of those people that came in during the, I guess, the D-Day wave. I mean, I heard stories from my aunt that he had been blown up in a boat with comrades that he had trained with, and he had to spend 3 or 4 days floating in the water with pieces of dead bodies because the boat had been blown up. It sounds like something I saw in the movie Jaws. In any event, when I met him, when I was born, I met two very damaged people. My mother, who had been raised in an orphanage from the age of 4. The parents in those days, in the Great Depression, they had a habit of, they couldn't raise their kids, they'd put them in an orphanage. My mother was institutionalized. She was psychotic for her entire life, the bipolar kind. And my father was suffering from post-traumatic stress syndrome from World War II combat experiences, as well as physical impairments. They didn't mean to ruin my childhood, but they did. Cue the violins. You know, this is the gamble. For many years I was religious, and I thought that was the most important thing to do. By the time I became less religious, I was blaming this invisible person for all my woes when I shouldn't be, and because there's nothing there to blame. This is all about luck, bad luck, good luck, in combination with genetics. And I mean, people have to go through the different types of people. They go through all kinds of horrific things and they come out well at the end. Maybe I'm not one of those who did that. I didn't need my father constantly telling me, your mother's family recommendation for a doctor messed up your eye. I didn't need to hear when I was, every time, you have to tell the teacher to let you sit in the front of the class. I didn't need to hear when I was left back in the 3rd grade. Always you're left back. It was never, you've been left back, you've been left back. Well, he didn't use that term, but you should be in this grade. You always should be in that grade. I wasn't like my father in many ways. He was into the physical. He was into sports. He messed up my relationship with my brother. He tried to recreate his childhood through us. And he didn't like the way the bullies used to pick on me. He was right in there involved to try to remake me just like the tough little kid he was. I didn't weigh 140 or 110 pounds until I got to high school and beyond. But I used to stand up. I beat up so many people. They thought I was little, but I was tough. Macho man. You're probably wondering, what the hell is he talking about now? Why is he telling us this crap? Because I don't like telling personal stuff like this. Why should I vomit on you about the crucible upon which I grew up or tried to grow up? Didn't all of you have problems and have to deal with all kinds of crap? No, the reason I'm telling you this is because I actually realized when Trump said this, the First Lady has a son, a very fine boy. I'm paraphrasing. The First Lady has a son, a very fine boy. And he is a good boy. How about my wife and I, our son Barron? He's a great kid. How about that? No. The bastard is ashamed of his own son. Can you imagine? Now, Donald Trump is a sociopath. He's a traitor to our country. He's working for Putin, whether he believes it or not. We have a party. We don't have a Republican Party now. It's been kidnapped. You want to see true Republicans? Go on MSNBC. Go. That's where they went. Tell them not to abandon the Republican Party because we only have a two-party system. And here's this creep. He's ashamed of his son. And then I'm sitting there wondering what it must be like. And at the time, that Melania was pregnant with this young man. He was out having a stormy affair with Stormy Daniels. Mr. Big Shot. Mr. Macho Big Shot. He put out a picture of himself that he premiered. He's got his head with he's doing this boxing thing. Folks, if I ever see that creep on the street, you can believe that I'm going to yell out how I feel. And the closer I get to him, the louder I will get. Never physical, by the way. I'm a son. A damaged son. From a father who had no respect for me. Who tried to manipulate me. Who did not let me live. I pity. And my heart goes out to Barron Trump. Having to grow up in the shadow of the monster who somehow got into our Oval Office. When you have children, ladies and gentlemen, it's not their choice to come into the world. You have to support them. You have to try to, whatever your failings are, you have to take them to your heart. Guide them in the jungle, in the savage street that we call the world that's been created by naked apes instead of refined human beings. That's the kind of people we need. That's the kind of parents we need. Trump, who denies his own son on the public, in front of the public here, has no business also being the president of our country. Shame on him. Sorry, Barron. And shame on us for being so blind.